Este episodio de OsteoFit Talks es traído a usted gracias a Siegfried Rhein, laboratorio farmacéutico que celebra sus 50 años de compromiso con la ciencia y la salud. Su filosofía se alinea con la nuestra: brindar información médica clara, precisa y basada en evidencia de libre acceso para todo. Es por ello que en mi práctica clínica como médico ortopedista, Febrax, la combinación de naproxeno con paracetamol, ha demostrado ser una herramienta eficaz y segura en el manejo del dolor y la inflamación secundarios a lesiones y a cirugías en adultos. Y para los más pequeños, Febraxito, con su nuevo sabor plátano, ha elevado la adherencia a nuestros tratamientos, eliminando más rápidamente el malestar y la fiebre cuando las familias más lo necesitan. Gracias a Siegfried Rhein por compartir con nosotros esta visión. Mantener la educación médica continua, brindar información de calidad a nuestras familias mexicanas y hacer de OsteoFit Talks un canal de libre acceso para toda nuestra comunidad. No te pierdas OsteoFit Talks, el podcast de salud, bienestar y ortopedia. Hi, and welcome to OsteoFit Talks, the podcast that talks about wellness, health, and orthopedics, of course. So today's episode will be recorded in English due to I have joined with an incredible guest, an international guest, a professor, a friend, and a doctor. Well, he's a trauma surgeon as me, and he will be representing to North Africa and Middle East region in the AO Davos Trauma Research Olympiads next December at Davos, Switzerland. My dear doctor and friend, Dr. Ahmed Omar Sabry. How are you, my bro?
Hey, Dr. Francisco, how are you? It's great to see you again. It's been quite a long time. Thank you so much for having me today. It's
Thank
really great.
you.
And thank you so much for the introduction. It's really flattering, really.
What do you think about the introduction? Did you like it?
It's lovely. It's awesome. You're always great with
Thanks so much.
introductions. Like you can
No,
see
no
my
worries.
cheeks are so red right now from the flattery. Thank you.
Bro, no, don't mention it. Thanks for saying yes. I know it's kind of late in Egypt. For the people, for you to know, I would like to say that you are a Cairo University professor associate, right? And you do a lot of research. I would like you to introduce us. Why are you invited today? Because I do already know that you are such a great professional. You are one of the very best guys in the research world. You
Thank
know,
you.
I mean,
Thank you.
I can say you have lots of articles publishing right now, and the most important thing is that you teach, you mentor young surgeons, young doctors to research, and that is something that makes you invaluable, brother. You have a really good and great value between us because you are capable of not only perform in the OR or in the consultation office, but also you encourage the next generation of doctors to, you know, spread their knowledge in a paper
Right.
to have some kind
Right.
of legacy. What can you tell us about that?
Right. Thank you. So yeah, I'm invited today. I wanted to talk about how easy it is actually to do research. My message today is for young orthopedic surgeons, young doctors, and even medical students. I want to say that they usually look at research, they think it's a scary path. It's just going to be, it's going to take up a huge, it's going to be a huge waste of time. It's going to affect, you know, they're not going to fix bones as much. They think that if they're going to do research, they won't have enough time to fix bones. But, you know, I'm here. I'm just like, I want to give the message that it's actually not as scary as it seems. Like with time, research becomes really passive. You can actually, you know, do your thing. You can break bones, fix bones, all while you're doing research without taking any time at all. And this is actually what, I do right now. Research, just doing research has become really passive. It doesn't take that much time. And at the same time, um, it's really useful. Like, it helps improve your patients' lives. It helps improve patients' lives around the world. It affects guidelines, and it's going to affect your career positively. That's something I really want other young orthopedic surgeons and young doctors in general to know. Research is now a clinical. I mean, it's really critical. It's a critical part of our career.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I do concur with your point of view, but I mean, it's not enough for me to say that. I need the people to know which or what are the kind of benefits you are talking about when you are trying to convince a young surgeon to research since
Right.
their beginning. Why? I mean, how could you convince, or maybe there is not like a financial benefit like many will think, or maybe it's not because of as you say, I'm not fixing a bone, why should I do a paper? No, but it's
Exactly.
beyond that. I mean, doing research, I think it has been a key for the
Right.
global tour, to open new horizons here and there. I mean, people should know that I met you our first time in Nashville. We were
That's
having
true.
a great time at the Anterior Hip Foundation. We were with
Right.
Dr. Mara, Dr. Schwab, learning how to do anterior hips in the very best way. We saw the best tools in the market, like the Concise, uh, which is a great tool. The HANA
Right.
table, which it's lacking here in Mexico because we don't have many of those. Um,
Exactly. Same here.
I, yeah, I was telling to a friend, it's like traveling into a time machine, no? Going at Nashville
Exactly.
because here in Mexico we're like 20 years behind, sadly. I don't know how is it in Egypt, but well,
Yeah, it's probably if it 30 years back. Yeah, it's
yeah,
really
maybe here
different.
you're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
the 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 reason I was talking about this is because we met each other in an international field, and then I saw you were researching, and I told you, well, I'm very curious about this kind of studies, no,
right.
especially a meta-analysis, which is something you do perform quite a lot. I can say, and
Yeah,
it's like the strongest tool of everything, right? And it's even maybe it can take lesser time that I don't know, a series of cases or a cohort. I think meta-analysis should be um, a little bit of known for everyone
right,
because
right,
it's like the best way, uh, you know, talking about
right. I
time,
mean,
practicity. Yeah.
it's the best evidence. It's at the top of the evidence pyramid. It's usually type 1 and type 2 evidence. Systematic reviews and meta-analysis, they shape our guidelines. They give us, I mean, they collect all the papers, all the clinical trials that talk about two problems, and then they analyze all that data from sometimes potentially even hundreds or thousands of papers, and they give us results. So yeah, meta analysis are actually, they give the best results usually, or the most solid evidence. Um, like, I wouldn't really say it's that easy to do a systematic review and meta analysis, especially if you're at the beginning. There is like a checklist that you got to do. It's called the Prisma checklist. It does take some time, especially if you do it alone. But once you get the hang of it, like, this is what I actually wanted to say. It's actually like a snowball effect. You go on a hill, you just throw a small snowball. It keeps on getting bigger, bigger, bigger. It's the same. You do a systematic review and meta analysis. Yeah, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. But with time, you learn how to do it so much easier. You learn all the tools. You just find yourself doing meta analysis after meta analysis. So yeah, it's It's kind of like that. And it's so, like, you can do it. I mean, a medical student can do it. He doesn't have to go to the hospital per se and just collect patients or do surgeries or do a clinical trial or see a rare case and do some case reports. No, it's not like that. You just sit at home with your computer, collect
Yeah,
data,
yeah.
and
It's
then do it.
productivity,
It's really
right?
that easy.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a great tool in the hands of anyone that wants to do it. You just got to take the first step. That's all.
That's that's a so catchy word, and it's a true one. It's really the truth. I wanted to say that people that when I met you, well, we started working, for example, in this meta-analysis about capsulotomies or capsulectomies for anterior hip replacements, and well, to see that now it's on the way out of the
Yeah.
oven, that's gonna be a marvelous uh, no, thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
First
I
time
mean, that's how
for me.
collaborations work. I mean, who thought we just met each other in Nashville, just international collaborations, they just happen like that. We just met each other. You can just, it's not in the boardroom, it's not in the operating room. You just see some person, he's like, hey, I don't like the coffee over here in Nashville, in Mexico, it's so much better. And then I'm like, yeah, in Cairo, it's good as well. And then, we just talk, and um friendship builds trust, and then trust just builds collaboration. We just talk and we're like, hey, we're gonna do some projects, hey, you can join. And that's how international collaboration actually happens, just
Yeah,
by
that takes
chance,
me
actually.
that takes me to a place I want to. I keep asking myself is that how this guy that research like almost every day, for example, no, it's like really focused on some issues, academic issues. How is that this guy is also the guy that took me to Royal Range to have some guns to test while we were having a time at Nashville, and then we went to a city concert, country music. That's awesome, bro.
Yeah,
I mean, you're a
exactly.
360 person.
I know, because usually the wrong concept, there's a misconception. People think that, hey, that person does research. He's just, a person isolated in his ivory tower all alone. He doesn't, um he's not that social. But actually that's not true. I'm crazy, right? We just
Yeah,
went
you're
over
quite
there. Yeah,
crazy.
we did crazy things. Yeah, we did have lots of fun. I
That's
mean, we yeah,
that's
we
great.
learned, we just did workshops, we did interior hip arthroplasties, and then by the end of the day, we're just shooting.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy, no? What were you thinking when you were holding these king size? Later, the AK-47. It's like, what?
Yeah, well, hey, precision is just not taking that freehand screw. Sometimes, there's other types of precision. Just
Yeah,
shooting
yeah.
that target, yeah, we got lots of precision.
It's sniper focused, I will say.
Yeah,
So, dear
exactly.
bro, I would like to attend to this matter, which is the real reason why I kindly asked you to come with us. It is because we want to know, to make know to the people that the AO Davos Research Olympiads are happening, and this time, well, it's gonna be in Davos in December, and you are like the contendant from Middle East and North Africa. That's something big because there are happening research is happening every day in the whole world. And
Right.
how did you made it to be considered as uh, the Olympic from North Africa and and Middle East? What did it take?
Well, yeah. When I first heard of the AO Olympiad, I was like, what's an AO Olympiad? Do I have to go running around the hospital? Like, what exactly is that? But actually, the requirements are much easier. I mean, I'm not even a good runner. The only running I do is to the ER if there's an emergency, just running statistical analysis. Yeah. But actually, the requirements are really easy. They just said they want young orthopedic researcher that is someone that's younger than 40 years. Um, that only has an idea that he wants to work on, like a research idea, and he already took some steps in doing it. So actually anyone can apply. Like they don't require a minimum number of publications, for example. Literally anyone can apply. Of course, probably if you have more publications, I'm not sure, maybe it's going to increase your chance. But it's always worth trying. And I know people that applied and represented their area or their region, and they didn't even have a single publication, but they just had a solid or good idea for research that they wanted to do.
Crazy. And well, in your case, you are attending the objective. What are you showing to the Olympiads this time? Which is like
Right. So, you know,
your secret
actually,
weapon.
yeah. Well, I thought we get lots of medial malleolar fractures, right? Uh, Sometimes people fix them with lag screws or those partially threaded screws. But I read some papers that said biomechanical studies showed that fully threaded screws or positional screws are better than partially threaded lag screws. And then I was like, hey, why not try fully threaded screws in medial malleolar fractures? I mean, if it's going to work on cadavers, if it's going to work better on pieces of wood, then it's probably also going to be good on patients with medial malleolar fractures. And that was actually my idea. So I thought we're going to do two groups. Medial malleolar fracture group, I'm going to fix with positional lag screws, with partially threaded lag screws, and then the other group with fully threaded positional screws. And that was my idea. I just sent it. I didn't think of anything at the time. I was like, it's impossible. I'm never going to be, chosen. And then I got like an email, and they were like, "Hey, get ready. These are your tickets for Davos, Switzerland."
Really? Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
okay.
it's just an idea, really. That's why the most important thing in research is you have to think of a very good research idea. It's not actually really that hard.
Yeah, but it has to be an idea which you are passionate about, no? If not,
Exactly. Exactly.
you are not gonna be able to endure it.
Exactly. So I did so many medial malleolar fractures, I love them. So I was like, hey, why not try it out? But I didn't choose something like I didn't choose a fracture that I hate, for example. It's something that I'm passionate about, something I think about a lot, something that I'm ready to do and love.
Nice, nice. And well, could you tell us, I mean, maybe a little bit more about this papers, like how big is the measure or your population?
Right. So I actually calculated the sample size. So I actually started this study like a bit before I applied for the Davos AO Research Olympiad. Um, I started doing it like I think a year and a half or something, and I collected 40 patients, uh,
Nice,
20 patients in each study group. Of course, there were some dropouts, but I think at the end there was like 17 in this group and 17 in this group. And I did find out some results. So actually, the fully threaded positional screws, they give better functional outcome at 1 month, but then both are equal. So my hypothesis or my conclusion was that maybe these fully threaded screws, because all the threads they just hold the fracture part together more, so there's less macro motions, so it heals faster.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
why
yeah.
there's faster functional outcome.
Nice. That's gonna be great. And any special fracture from the medial malleolus or
Well, yeah, there's there's a classification called the Herskovitchy classification. It shows, like, if this is the medial malleolus, for example, above the tibial plafond, this
Mhm.
is a type, right? And then, of course, this is a vertical fracture. So this isn't fixed with screws. So these are excluded. Only transverse fractures that can be fixed with screws are the ones that are included.
Nice, nice. I'm sorry for being so curious, but I wish you the best of lucks for the
Thank
doubles
you so much.
Olympiads. And I would like
Right.
also, to ask you, are you excited about Davos? I mean, I went on 2024 and for me it was real crazy. It was such an experience. It was my first time.
Right.
And when I arrived, I do remember I arrived to Zurich to the airport and then I took a train to Davos. But
Okay.
as you keep entering into the Alps, you can see how
Right.
everything is getting wider, and then it's everything white or forest.
Wow.
It's beautiful, and the doors, the villages are
Right.
beautiful. They are small, but they are complete. They do have most of them a big hospital with trauma facilities. Due
Right.
to that, well, in Davos they ski a lot, so I can say that as here in Mexico, motorcycles have done a lot for orthopedics. I guess that in Switzerland, the skis have made
Right.
a lot for trauma in Switzerland.
Well, that's
Don't you
more
think?
work, more money for orthopedic surgeons there.
Yeah, more advancing techniques.
Exactly. That's why they have so much advancements in orthopedic surgery in Switzerland. They got so many trauma cases from skiing.
Yeah. I don't know if in Egypt you do have this kind of epidemic from trauma surgeries due to motorbike accidents, but
Well,
here in
yeah,
Mexico it's
definitely.
like 8% of trauma is due to motorcycle accidents, vehicle crashes and
Exactly.
stuff. Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. Here in Egypt, like from my experience in the ER, I'd say maybe 50% of fractures are from motorbike accidents. They're horrible and they're the worst types of fractures. The other type of fracture that I commonly saw, people here have these towers above their roofs, right? And they like it's a hobby here. They just raise pigeons. So
Yeah,
they climb
you
these
call me that
towers,
with
yeah, and then they fall from these towers. And then you see all kinds of fractures.
damn. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
suppose it's mostly maybe elderly people.
Well, it's actually all kinds of people, really. I think most of the people that are in this hobby are younger people.
Really, the younger
Yeah.
one. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
because
really
they
popular.
like to adventurous, yeah. But to answer your question about Davos, yeah, I'm super excited. This is my first time going to Davos actually. And I've been actually looking at the pictures. It's really stunning. Because like I usually don't see all that white. I usually see yellow from the sand.
Yeah,
I'm used to seeing, yeah, desert, sand, maybe some greenery, but all that snow, yeah, that is a different scene, to be honest. Um, I've also been looking at, guides how to make Swiss chocolate, all that stuff. I'm
of
really
course,
excited
Swiss
to go there.
chocolate is the best.
I mean, who goes to Switzerland and doesn't try the chocolate?
Yeah, and there is another interesting part in Davos. For example, last time I went, I saw a periprosthetic fracture course. For hips and
Right.
knee revisions with Dr. Stoffel. It was great. But after the talk, well, there is also like a lot of workshops where you can, let's see this plate. Would you mind if I put it into a sawbone for femur?
Yeah, sure.
And you can see all these kind of new things, no? For example, that time I do remember they were developing a, a distal femoral fracture plate,
Okay.
a distal femoral plate. which have these gadget that tells you how much stress is the plate hanging to know when
Okay.
does the
Yeah.
fracture
So
heal. So it's
okay.
crazy, you know? And these are the next things that are coming into the market. But after that, there is also like, you know, a very nice community of doctors that go around in the night hours, you know, and you go
Right.
to the Hexa bar, which is like the traditional AO bar where everyone meets. You know, you have a couple of beers with all the teams from all over the world. And then, well, you can
Okay.
share again with, you know, the Italian committee, the Spain committee, the Denmark committee. It's crazy. I did met
Yeah.
some guys from China. You know, in China they
Right.
are also, you know, leveling up the the tools they use for the surgeries. All this kind of info about a new glue that is a
Right.
glue for bones. Have you heard about it?
I've heard of that. Yeah, I did hear about it. It's really interesting, really.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't taken a deep uh, into this kind of info about the bone glue, but I have I have heard patients that attend to the medical practice here, and they
Right, right.
start asking about the this glue. So we should be,
Of
you know,
course.
in a constant. Uh,
We're in a digital era. I mean, people check social media now. Like before that, everything was isolated to the country that they were in. Now everyone knows what's happening in China, what's happening over there, over here. And also, yeah, about AO, I think it's a great opportunity. So the AO helps bridge that gap or that that distance between orthopedic surgeons in different countries. So before that, like I said, there was French orthopedic surgeons did their own thing. Chinese orthopedic surgeons did their own thing. Every country just was kind of isolated. The AO did actually help bridge this. They helped unite everyone together, all the societies together, and this actually helps share experience, just think of new ideas. It's actually really great.
yeah, yeah, I do agree that with that. I must say, well, I do play a part in AO Access. I'm part of a
Right.
task force which is called now it's called faculty selection and leadership. So
Okay.
I hope that this kind of podcast, because I want to know AO, I want AO to know that we are creating this podcast. Um,
Right.
in a with the goal of developing all these orthopedic talk, all these research talk, all these globalization talk. I mean, it's for me, it it never stops amazing me how we met
Exactly.
at another place and talking about similar issues, no, but in a
Exactly.
very different manner. It's crazy. So back into that, Dr. Ahmed, I would like to know, uh, and you know, this question I have been working of it since the first day I met
Right.
you. You know, since the
Wow.
first day I saw you, is
Okay.
damn, how did you manage to create all these kind of publications? And I do remember you told me, "Don't worry, bro. The first paper it's always the hardest." And I thought,
Yeah,
okay,
that's true.
okay, it might be difficult right now, but maybe with the time we could be talking about more studies. But I would like to
Exactly.
ask you really, why would you say this that the first paper is the hardest? Did you have any kind of, you know, wall in front of you? What happened?
Yeah, well, actually, it usually is the hardest. Because you don't have the experience, you really don't know like all the steps or what's gonna happen, right? So it's just like you're thrown in front of Mount Everest, right? Without any mountain clothing or just heavy clothing, without boots, and someone's just like, "Hey, climb this mountain." You don't know, you have no idea. Is it like a big mountain? Is it, am I gonna climb it in maybe like a couple hours, a couple days? I don't know. So I just climb, and then at the first thing you find, my feet are hurting. I'm actually getting cold. So just bad stuff that you didn't expect. So usually just give up. This is
Yeah.
actually what usually happens with your first paper. If you don't have proper mentorship, you just keep continuing. You have no idea what to do. You don't know, like, should I, uh, like, what do I want from this research? Sometimes you're just confused. You do too much analysis, maybe you do too little analysis, and it's just,
You know this
a
one.
process
Why
where yeah, it's a
why am I
mysterious
doing this?
process.
No? Why
Exactly.
am I doing this?
Exactly. At some point, you're like, why am I doing this? I just got to give up. Just like you're climbing a mountain and, you just find your feet hurting. You're like, I didn't think it was this hard. I'm just going to give up. And most people actually do that. Like most of my friends, when I was in medical school, most of my colleagues, whenever we would do, like, we were going to be like, hey, we're going to do a study group, we're going to do a research group. And then we would do so much research. We would just do questionnaires, and we would write the paper, and in the middle we just give up
Yeah, yeah. Happens
because
quite a lot.
exactly. But once you overcome that, once you just get that confidence, once you publish your first paper, it actually just becomes quite easy. It's like I said, it's just like a snowball effect. It just, you keep getting more and more publications with less effort because you know the process. Sometimes you just do it even passively.
Nice. I do remember the second part of this first mention you said. Like the first paper is the hardest. I do remember that one. But I also remember you said that um, you wish you have somebody that that taught you what you are teaching right
Right.
now. So that's the way you are doing. You are teaching people to research, and that's why you are a beloved guy in the research community, right?
Yeah, well, to be honest, my first paper that I did, I remember, I think I was probably in third year medical school or fourth year. I can't really, I think it was third year. And, like a passionate medical student, I was going to be like, I'm going to be a researcher. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to be famous. So I just, the first thing I found on the internet, it said collaborate, collect a study group or a research group, and just work together because that'll make everything easier. And select a mentor, right? So we just collected, I think we were like 12 people. We were 12 students at that time. We thought of a research question. I think we go to patients that take obstetrics and gynecology examinations, and we ask them like what they think if medical students attend the examination with the doctor or the specialist. Um, we probably collected like 400 questionnaires. Like we spent almost a year on that, right?
Nice.
But we chose the wrong mentor. So basically, our mentor, she wasn't probably really interested in research, or she didn't probably have that much experience. She literally had no idea what to do. Like we asked her what to do next after we collected all of that data. She was like, I don't know, just do whatever you want. And we were really confused
I
at
get
that
it.
time. You just look at a blank Word file, you don't know what to do, you don't know what to write, and we kind of tried to push it. We did actually write a manuscript, and we sent it to a journal at that time. It was like a very small journal, and they requested some edits, right? We
Yeah.
didn't know, we didn't know that that's actually a good sign, because we thought that was a bad sign. Hey, they're asking for edits, that means our paper is bad. So we actually ignored the message or the email, and our paper didn't get published. We literally had no idea what to do
Yeah.
at that time. So it was just wasted potential, wasted time, wasted potential. But I think it did give me an idea, like if I'm going to do another research, I have to know the steps better. I have to choose a proper mentor. And that's actually what I did in my second paper that I worked on. So actually, that first project that we worked on, we did lots of efforts in it, and unfortunately, it didn't get published. Well, yeah, we did present it in a conference here, and we got like a monetary prize, so it kind of made up for it, but it still didn't get published.
Better than nothing.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Still.
yeah, exactly. But it did kind of teach me, select the proper mentor, not just a big name, but someone that wants to help. This actually matters a lot. So I don't choose, the biggest name in orthopedic surgery to be my mentor, or maybe the biggest name in my hospital. No, just select someone that wants to help, someone that is known to be helpful. That is much better than 1,000 people that that are big names and probably
Yeah.
don't want to help or can't help.
Nice, nice. That's a real nice stuff because I guess most of the guys will look for the famous guy, but the big,
Exactly.
but
That's
not
what we
the,
think at first.
yeah, not the one that
Just,
matters, no, the one that take cares
yeah,
of you and pushes you.
that's really unfortunate. Everyone just looks at the thing that shines, not the thing that we want or the thing that we need. We just choose something that, that's shiny, that's glowing. Okay, that's the best thing. You go over to it, it's not really that helpful in the end. And it's going
Yeah,
to cost you the project that you did so much work on sometimes, especially if you're in the beginning and you don't really know um, how to publish or you're not really that experienced.
and from there, I mean, how is it that nowadays you are? I if I wrote, okay, I heard
Yeah,
you were selected to be a NATER's revisor advisor. Like you review nowadays
oh
paper.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I did used to review a lot of papers. Actually, when you submit a paper anywhere and write your email, um, so many journals just send you messages. They're like, "Hey, can you review this paper? Can you review this paper?" Sometimes they spam you. Your email gets so much spam. But I was offered something called, like, I was going to be on the editorial board page of a journal called the Journal of Orthopedic Surgery and Research. It's actually a really good journal. It's a Q1 journal. They were like, "Hey, you're going to be a trusted reviewer. Just review our papers that are submitted." I actually did that for quite some time. I think it was probably 2 years ago or something. I reviewed quite a bit of papers, and then they were like, "Hey, we're like you're gonna be elevated into a reviewing editor, so you have more access to reviewing papers. You're an editor, stuff like that." So yeah, like it does get bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. By the time, time to time.
Yeah, and it's like a nice thing to write in your CV that you review this number of papers or that number of papers for this journal. You're an editor at this journal. It's a good thing.
I would like to get into this point of the talk when we talk about your efforts to teach people to review to publish. But I would like also to ask you, because I think this is like a little bit of an advanced question for people that is already researching. What do you
Right.
think about the open access, again, versus the how do you say, the journals that
That are closed access, for example,
yeah, yeah.
or
What do you think
subscription
about
based.
this relation?
Well, actually, it really depends. There are some open access journals that are predatory. They're not the best. But if we're going to compare like two similar journals or the same journal, and we have the option of open access or subscription based or closed access, usually before like um, before this time, it didn't really matter. There were some papers that said, "Hey, if you publish open access." you usually get 30% more citations because your paper is more available. So people cite it more. That is like a study that was done a while ago. I think like in this age or this time, I think that open access is going to have much more impact. And this is because now everyone uses AI. Like if someone has a question in their mind, they just, they open ChatGPT or Gemini or any other Grok or any other AI website. And, they ask them, hey, is the anterior approach better or the posterior approach? And then, AI, usually of course, they do have data inside them, but also they have the ability to do web searches and they the more data they get will be from open access papers or open access websites. So there's a higher chance that you get your paper referenced there. And sometimes even researchers do use AI to get ideas, and they're gonna just see which reference was mentioned in the AI. Maybe they're gonna reference it in their paper. So I think in the upcoming period, I think open access will have a bit more, you know, more more viewability and maybe
Okay.
more citations.
Do you think there is still any kind of how do you say? What would be the good thing of being published in a closed access journal?
What's the good thing in the closed access? Well, it's basically just getting your paper published. I mean, some journals are very good. They're high impact. Uh, they're in the top quartiles. They're Q1, Q2, and they're closed access. So, if your paper is closed access, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Some of the very good journals, they publish closed access. So, you know, sometimes just publishing in a very good journal that's closed access may be more prestigious than publishing in, a smaller open access journal, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good to know. And well, now that you mention it, what do you think about this? This tool, these AI tools that every day are getting much, much more deeper into their researching abilities of the guys. Sometimes
I know.
to know any kind of AI is like how do you say the tie break here, no? Because well,
Exactly.
he's more capable of. It's like wow,
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I think that AI is getting better and better, which is kind of scary, to be honest.
it's
I
scary. Yeah.
remember maybe, yeah. I mean, I remember 2 years ago when I used AI, like it was really weak. It would just give, these same standard answers, or the same kind of answers, kind of. It wasn't really special, it was just kind of weak. But with time, like within 2 years, it did develop a lot. Like they analyze better, they give better answers. I think a good researcher should know how to use AI for their benefit. Of course, there are some red lines that you shouldn't do or they shouldn't cross. For example, like you should never let AI write a paper for you. I mean, that is just worthless, right? If you have a research question, you should be able to analyze it by yourself. But you can use AI to help you. They can give you perspectives, for example. They can help you. Sometimes people even use AI to extract data
Okay.
from papers, and then they can revise it later on instead of just bringing someone to extract the data and you revise it. The AI can do it right now, and this is actually something that's really nice.
Yeah.
So yes, and sometimes you can, if you want to rephrase or correct your English or something, sometimes some people have difficulty with English and grammar. So yeah, AI does correct that. Of course, most journals do request that if you use AI in writing your paper, that you disclose that or you tell them that, because it's not really something that's preferred. So usually it's like maximum just use it for, checking your grammar, checking, your writing quality. That's all usually, but never just let AI write the paper.
Nice, nice. Did you use it mostly for that, or do you have like any other advanced tool? Like these kind of tools that do work to keep an eye into the quality of the students. Like the
Right. So yeah, we do. I mean, that paper that we did together, for example, we did use there's this application called RAM that just, it helps us remove duplicates if you're going to do systematic review and meta analysis. It tells you, hey, this it collects papers that seem like duplicates, and then you check them. You're like, yeah, that's a duplicate, remove it. And that saves lots of time because before that, we will collect papers manually. I mean, can you imagine just collecting all these papers manually and just checking, hey, is this a duplicate? Is this not a duplicate? AI does kind of help with that. So yeah, there are lots of tools, and I expect that with time there are going to be even more tools.
nice, nice. But do you still think that AI will never do the papers instead of us, or there is a chance?
Well, to be honest, there could be a chance. I mean, AI now does have the ability to analyze a research question, but I think like if the researcher um, like does a good job and writes high quality, it's always going to be better than AI because he understands the problem. He knows the options that are available. He knows the perspectives from both sides. I think he can analyze it better, especially if he's in the field. If he just, if it's his problem and he's passionate about it, I think that that person is always going to be 1,000 times better than an AI.
Nice.
And besides, heck, even uh, recently there's AI checkers right now. So, some journals check the paper. They're like, hey, this manuscript is written with 40% AI, for example. And
Nice.
that's something that's not acceptable right now. So yeah, it's always better to just write the paper by yourself and just, use
Like,
AI maybe to check for grammar, check for anything like that.
yeah, it's some kind in a with the objective of keep order, no? Just not to be machines talking each other.
Exactly. They're going to have their own language and they're going to be talking to each other, and humans have
Yeah,
no idea what they're talking about.
yeah. I once read that I mean AI is not gonna overrun us, but the guy that does know how to use AI will overrun everything. So
Okay, then we got to learn AI
yeah, we have to learn.
just in case.
Some kind of must. So,
I know.
dear Omar, I would like, well, Ahmed Omar Sabry, I want you to know to tell us. You already talk about this research question, no, the golden
Right.
question. How is it possible for anyone, especially well, in this kind of things, doctors, how can we enter into this process of creating a paper, especially, I guess, a meta-analysis? If we're going by the biggest evidence, the strongest evidence, the time, effort, balance studies, I think are
Right.
meta-analysis. I would like you to, well, describe us something about the process, and maybe from there, invite to the people to know what your labor is with all these young surgeons, well, or young researchers that
Right.
do belong to your research
Yeah.
groups, maybe.
Well, yeah, there are lots of groups. So basically like if a young researcher or a young surgeon or a young medical doctor just asks me, hey, I want to do some research, right? And this is probably going to be his first research. I prefer to just give him advice to take the easiest pathway. Just take small steps. And by taking small steps, usually that means just um taking the easiest publications that can be done. So usually just do a case report. For example, case reports are pretty easy to publish and they're pretty easy to write. It's just a case, that has something, that's unexpected. They can write it and just publish it. That's really easy. And then they just follow the snowball effect. They have that confidence and they start writing more and more and publishing more and more. Maybe even, a retrospective study or something. But usually meta-analysis, yeah, they take lots of effort. And I wouldn't really recommend it for a beginner unless they're passionate and of course they have a good mentor or they're in a study group. That's why usually um, I'm usually with the students. Like sometimes if students say, hey, we want to do research, I collect them in a group. I kind of start explaining how to do a meta-analysis step by step. Sometimes we do Zoom, sometimes we just meet in person, or I just text them, the steps and show them how it's done. Um, and it's really important to have a mentor at the beginning when you do a systematic review meta-analysis. So you're asking how we do a systematic review meta-analysis, or what are the steps? The first thing is coming up with a research question. That is the most important thing, because
Yeah.
otherwise, like, yeah, that is really the most important thing. And
That
there
would be
is
the
an easy.
pickup question.
Exactly. That is, it's not really difficult. I mean, yeah, sometimes if you're a beginner, it's hard for you to think of a good research question. But I'm gonna try and make it a bit easier. So there to come up with a good structure for a research question, we usually think of PICO, which is PICO. P is for the patients, the type of patients that we want to study, and I is the intervention that we want to, know its results, and then C is a comparative group, like compared to what the intervention compared to another intervention, and then the outcome. So, for example, we can say patients that do total hip arthroplasty, anterior total hip arthroplasty. And then the intervention, is it better to do a capsulotomy and then capsular repair, or compare like do a capsulectomy and remove it? That's the comparative. And then we're going to compare them and then come with an outcome, which is the O from the PICO. This is probably going to be the functional outcomes. So this is an example for a research question. Another one, maybe femoral fractures in pediatric patients. Some people fix them with a single limb spica cast. Some people fix them with, a double limb spica cast. So we want to compare these two, the intervention and the comparative group, and then the outcome is radiographic union, for example. That's another question. So it's actually quite easy, but if you're a beginner, you can't really think of good questions. That's why I always recommend just look for, an orthopedic surgeon in your wards, or maybe a senior orthopedic surgeon. Be like, hey, are there any problems that you faced in your practice, or any questions that you can't decide on? And he's gonna be like, yeah, sometimes when I do total hip arthroplasties, some people say do capsulotomies and then repair them, and some people say just do a capsulectomy. And I really don't know which is better. These people say this is better, and then the other people say their intervention is better. So you just took, you took a problem, and then you can form the question, and then you can continue.
You would say that the question must be controversial, right? Like to have the spiciness,
Well,
like we're
preferably.
not sure which is better or something.
Exactly. The best systematic reviews and meta-analysis are the ones that are controversial. That means, there are lots of comparative studies, but some studies say, hey, intervention A is better. And some, studies say intervention B is better. And then you're gonna collect all that data, and you're gonna analyze it, and then your results are gonna be final for everyone. There is not gonna be any more controversy.
Yeah,
These are the
yeah.
best kinds of systematic reviews and meta-analysis.
And these are the kind of systematic reviews that some guidelines take for their recommendations, right? That's why.
Exactly. Most guidelines are taken actually from systematic reviews and meta-analysis because it's collected from all the papers, not just a single trial or a single paper. No, like a systematic review and meta-analysis, they collect all the data on that question and then they come up with an answer. That's why they always they shape guidelines.
How well, I don't know, this might be a hot question, but
Right.
what would you say about the time that it might take, I don't know, for a novice to create a meta-analysis, well structured, maybe from zero, but
Right.
I don't know, as you say, committed to.
Well, usually it can take anywhere from, it really depends on the mentor and the group and the type of question, of course. Sometimes some questions are very specific, so there's only like 6, 7 papers or even less. So their analysis is easier, the collection of data is easier. So a meta-analysis can take anywhere from, say, 2 or 3 weeks, and it can take maybe sometimes even over a year. So it's really variable. There are so many variables, and usually it depends, like I said, on the question. Is it a very general question? Are there lots of papers that you're going to include in it? Or is it a very specific question? So there's much less papers. And then do you have, an enthusiastic team that are going to work with you, or maybe, a sleepy team and a sleepy mentor? So yeah, there's lots of variables, to be honest. But if I recommend, like, someone wants to do a quick systematic review and meta-analysis, yeah, just choose a small, question with just limited number of papers. So you do less data extraction, less bias assessment. It's going to take much less time.
Can somebody uh, learn this whole process? I mean, I'm trying to reach to this part where you mentor people, but I
Right.
mean, how is it how is the process to develop this idea with your team? I mean, you make a joint effort and
Right.
you start um, assuming he's gonna do that or she's gonna create this, or is there any kind of guideline to
Well,
make
to be
this
honest,
and not fail in the try?
yeah, I failed in lots of tries. But like, at first, I used to just, give lectures in my college. I would just give them, steps on how to do a systematic review and meta-analysis, how to extract data, how to do this, how to do that. And then most of the students in the group, they knew the steps, they knew how to do everything. And then when I did groups, like, I would just explain it really fast, like, hey, this is how you do a search string, this is how you do choose mesh search strings that you're going to use in PubMed, for example, and how to extract the citations by this technique, import them in this program. Like, so yeah, I do explain it to them because most of the students and medical doctors in our research group, they don't have any prior publications. So that's where mentorship comes in. I usually try, like, before that, a long time ago, maybe 2 years, I would explain all the steps in lecture halls. But then with time, because lots of international students started joining the group, so it wasn't really that feasible, right? And then I traveled, I was outside, like I was in the US for quite some time. So it wasn't really that feasible. I started just, explaining the process through Zoom, how to do this, how to do that. And then, when people attend these lectures, or if someone says, hey, I already know all the steps on how to do a systematic review and meta analysis, we just put them in groups. Like we're going to say, hey, we're going to do a research on this topic. Who's interested to join, right? And then maybe we find like 6, 7, or 8 students and medical doctors. They're interested, and then they enter in the group. I start explaining. So the first step, we're going to validate the research question. We're going to do the search strings, and then I start distributing the tasks. So like, hey, person A, you're gonna do this. Okay, person B, you're gonna do this, because collaboration with a team, it's like a force multiplier, right? If a certain student or a certain person is only going to do the systematic review and meta analysis, it's probably going to take a year because he's going to do all the steps. It's going to take a long time. But if you're like a lot of people together, everyone's going to do everything like concomitantly at the same time. It's going to save lots of time, and everyone pushes each other forwards. So it really is a force multiplier, and that is a really important thing. Um, Sometimes, I would do a research like that has happened before. I would write, a research paper, and I would do the study and just finish it, and then I'd be like, I just sent it to a journal and it was rejected. And I just, I give up. And then, I'd have an enthusiastic student. He'd be like, no, let's try again. I'll do the edits. I'll send it again. And then it gets accepted.
Yeah.
So yeah, that push, that teamwork, it helps a lot.
It's like that when it happens. Like, okay, well, I accept it. No?
Exactly. So it really is important to be in a team,
Damn.
especially if everyone's just enthusiastic.
Yeah, yeah. The enthusiasm mustn't be lacking. No, I would like
Exactly.
I would like to ask you how is it possible for somebody to join into these kind of research workforces that well, little by little get instructed in how to create it, no? Because it's not something that happens automatically. You
Right.
need to see a process, no? Maybe at the first times you are quite slow or you get
Exactly.
stuck
You need
with
a
the
proper
info.
mentorship, or like a proper mentor that is willing to help. So you get that first publication. So actually all of the groups that we do, they're completely free. Everyone's welcome to join. We have like you have the links. There's just links to the WhatsApp group. Every once in a while, I just I send them videos how to do this step in a meta analysis, how to do that, or like, hey, we're gonna do a project today. Who's interested? This is gonna be the topic, and then people are like, send me, and they're like, hey, I want to join. So we just I put them in the research group, and I'm gonna send you all these links. Everyone is welcome to join. It's completely free, and even if you're a beginner, um it, like, it's my objective. I really want to teach people to just have that weapon or have that tool to know how to do research, because it's really important.
And nice,
Because
that's
when I
a
was
topic.
in their place, yeah, I really wanted, like, I was looking for a mentor at that time. So hopefully, I do that for them.
I would like to add that there might be just a must, and that is that the people that is interested in this one, I guess they should know how to speak English very well. No,
Exactly.
at least for to be able to communicate with the rest of the team because you manage internationally teams, right?
Exactly. Well, it's an international team, so the language that we use between each other is English. So hopefully, yeah, you should know some English, and the papers that we publish are all in English.
Nice, nice. Yeah. So thank you for the invitation. I'm sure we will have it mentioned here for you to know. Maybe some
Of
people
course.
from OsteoFit is coming right away to
Yeah,
Dr.
they're very
Sabry
welcome.
research
That is really great.
courses.
Yeah, they're more than welcome, of course.
And I mean, I can say. I can't stop saying that it's something Dr. Sabri does for free. That's what makes
Exactly.
him, shine in between us,
Yeah.
among us. I do appreciate that, Dr. Sabri. I learned from you
Thank you so
during this,
much.
the
Thank you.
making of this last meta-analysis. I can say thanks enough because, well, I can see I do
Well,
need
I can
like
assure you one thing. Like after this meta-analysis is published, you're going to be a mentor of other groups because you already know the process right now. You have the confidence. As long as you have that confidence after that first publication, everything becomes much easier.
thanks for your words. I will do my best. I promise.
Yeah, I know. I know. Just pay it forward, As long as, you start teaching other people, you know that you've mastered research.
Great thought. That's when you say made it.
Yeah, exactly.
Dr. Ahmed, I must say it is time for me to
Right.
ask you three questions that are, you know, the OsteoFit questions. And these kind of questions doesn't have to do a lot with orthopedics, but with mentorship. So it's a
Okay.
great moment to have them and for you to tell the people, people that is hearing you the audience is made about young surgeons, young
Right.
medical doctors. We have maybe some athletes, young athletes, how you say, parents of Mexican families,
Of
maybe
course.
some people that does these rehab therapies, as well as
Right.
many other orthopedic surgeons as me, as our friends from Nashville and stuff.
Of
But
course.
well, the first question it has to be which is the how you say which is the best advice you have ever heard of, and if it's possible, I would like you to tell us where or who told you that.
Right. So, the best advice, that is a very good question. It's also a very hard question, right?
It's hard, I
Um,
know.
yeah, I know. Because there is so many good advice that I'll listen to be honest.
Gladly, because
Um,
it has happened sometimes that people can't recall into a good advice. Mostly are bad advices.
exactly. Well, to be honest, um, if there's a certain goal that you have, or if there's a certain point that you want to reach, and you start working for it, it's a process. Like there's never that magical spell that just sends you over to it, right? It's always a process. Heck, we can talk about research, for example. You just can't be a researcher overnight. It's a very long process. It's something that I also wanted to hear maybe when I was, younger. Uh, there's going to be lots of failures in the middle. There's going to be lots of, ups and downs. But as long as you continue on that pathway, you're going to make it, right?
Right.
Some people, they think, hey, I saw this person or that person, they reached it really fast. Well, you don't really know the whole story, but they just give up really quick because they're like, hey, I tried, and it's really hard. That's why most people, for example, give up on research. Young doctors, they give up on research early. They try, and then they think, hey, it's hard, we're not going to be big researchers, we're not going to publish in a big journal. They just give up. But
Yeah.
you got to embrace the process. Like, all the ups and downs, all the rejection letters, everything is just pushing you to be better.
Nice. That's a really awesome advice. Thank you, bro. I will say it's like, I don't know, never give up and trust, keep, no? Never,
Exactly.
don't let it, if
Exactly.
you love it,
Just keep
don't
on
let it.
going on. Exactly. You look at that objective and you just keep on continuing. You don't go back. You don't give up.
Nice. And I assume this authorship is yours, right?
Well, yeah, probably.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
probably
really
just,
good one.
a mix of something I made, like I listened or someone that said
No, no,
it,
no.
but it's
I
just
can
made up
see
for my mind.
I can see the feeling in your words, my dear bro.
Yeah.
Ready for the
Yeah,
second
exactly.
one? I think it's gonna be, these two. These two. The second one will be the opposite. Have you ever heard a very bad advice that maybe somebody told you, maybe on purpose, to make you stop, or to discourage you or something? Have you ever heard any of those? For the people, if you hear it, well, don't follow it.
Well, yeah, to be honest, I've heard some advice. They're from friends, and even mentors and doctors. They're like, orthopedic surgeons. We're doctors. We learn with our hands, we gotta improve our hand skills. We don't care about research. Research, isn't gonna give you money. It's not gonna make you rich, unlike, doing operations or improving your hand skills. And that is actually something that isn't really that correct. I mean, most of the famous doctors or the big names in each field, you're going to find that they're very big researchers. They publish lots of stuff. Their names are very well known. They get invited in lots of conferences. And that's actually one of the best things to build up a name, to just, do correct and right research. And that actually, that spreads your name everywhere to the other colleagues. And that is actually not, I mean, yeah, maybe in the short term, you're going to think, um, I'm not going to have lots of, I mean, I can concentrate more on operations. It's going to be, my hand skills are better, but in the long term, just doing research, it's going to help people. It's going to improve lots of patients' lives. It's going to affect guidelines. It's going to be for the greater good, and at the same time, it's going to improve your name. It's going to just make you're going to get lots of cases. It's lots of operations. It's not really like what people say. Like if you do research, you're not going to be a doctor. No, that's not true. They both go hand in hand.
Nice, nice. I do feel those words. I will use them on my own because I can say that's a real good statement. We
Right.
are
Thank
not
you.
just a couple of hands. Everything on the mind, right?
Exactly.
And well as communicate and to leave a legacy for the next generation. No, you might be shaping
Exactly.
these guidelines, the management of some kind of illness or a new and a fracture or a new uh, system, no, as the
Well,
synthesis system.
hopefully,
I don't
yeah,
know.
that's hopefully so. That's true. That's what research is all about, really. And hopefully, yeah, our work does have an impact to improve patients' lives better.
Nice, nice. Thank you once again, Dr. Ahmed Omar,
All
for
right. Thank you so much. Thank
accepting
you.
this invitation to our dear podcast, OsteoFit Talks, where we talk about orthopedics, health, wellness, and it's also a space to talk about science, movement, and mindset, as you are showing us today. Thank you for
Of
your
course.
words, your thoughts. I think it has been really and it is enrichment for our channel, our ideas,
All right.
and for the people that is hearing us every day a little bit more. We are
Right.
only focusing into spreading positive messages like yours,
Of
like our
course.
friendship. I do appreciate
Of course.
you you attend this time.
Of course. No, really, thank you so much for inviting me. It's really great to be on this podcast and, I'll be with the audience of OsteoFit. I'm really grateful. Thank you so much for inviting me, really. And hopefully this message, and has a positive impact on people.
Yeah, we'll see it together on the next
Of course.
episode of OsteoFit Talks, number 8, where we did talk with Dr. Ahmed Omar Sabry. I can't stop inviting you to hear us next Monday with Dr. Sabry, where we will be discussing everything about um, his way into becoming a well-renowned researcher and contendant for the AO Trauma Research Olympics. Thanks again, Dr. Ahmad, and see you around.
Thank you so much, Dr. Francisco. See you later. Thank you so much.
See you.
All right.
Thanks.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.